Azek shifted in his seat. While Garrosh hadn't done anything specific to make him uncomfortable, being so close to a Harchan for so long was playing on his mind. The smell was also a bit oppressive. "What do you mean, taking prisoners was a bad idea?" Garrosh lifted up his upper chitin plate a little, sliding the point of his secondary limbs underneath. A slight hiss of escaping moisture let Azek know Garrosh hadn't cleaned himself for a long time. A clear warning sign among the normally fastidious Harchan.
"Well, most of their communications was easy to intercept, mainly through visible lines or radio waves for military, wireless satellite-based for civilian. They aren't using them now, just streaming constant irregular beeping to give us headaches, I presume. So when we picked up traffic of dozens of humans planning to attack or sabotage our forces in secured areas, we naturally arrested them. We tried holding them on planet in the human holding facilities, even adapted some of their competitive arenas as temporary holding. But every time, a swarm of maybe 1,000 people at least would turn up, demanding the release of the people. The guards didn't want to kill civilians, so a few were forced to turn over their prisoners, mainly because with the loss of 3 commanders, my 2 superiors were arguing over who was in charge, so they never sent clear orders out as to how to deal with situations like that."
"Arguing?"
Yes. Technically, I was the most junior of all the commanders, meant to be my first occupation, to sharpen my teeth, so to say. The annexation commander was killed first, and the rest were all slightly equal, with small differences in their records. So they settled into arguing over who was the highest ranked.
For the first time since they had sat, Jek's tail uncoiled from Azek's.
You don't have a clear command structure? Even the Glorious Endeavor does, and that's a trade ship.
Azek suppressed a glare, and decided to get back on track before Jek babbled anything that might be useful. "Either way, not relevant. Lots of humans getting those planning rebellion out of captivity."
"Yes, eventually one of my fellow commanders decided to make a play. He claimed responsibility for all pacification of civilians. Not normally a role needed, but clearly needed here. So, he began having any prisoners shipped up to his mother's ship, including several of the human hatchlings, mainly for crimes like putting up crude posters, trying to attach propaganda to our scout flyers, and even one onto the back of the rear sweeper of a patrol. So, he soon had nearly 500 humans in containment in a retrofitted hangar bay. Some had some form of narcotics, which they had a mild addiction to, so he thought it best to allow them to keep their method for use, small flame makers. After all, couldn't even burn hot enough to melt plastic, let alone hurt anyone.
Makes sense. After all, you don't want a prisoner collapsing from withdrawal or getting angry.
Quite. Now it was as another load were coming up that he made his big mistake. It was getting somewhat crowded, and the hatchlings weren't exactly in a good situation. Wanting to avoid giving any tales of abuse once the prisoners had been processed and released, he ordered a few females, who seemed to be taking a caregiving role, and the hatchlings to be moved into a new hangar bay, already prepared, and with a few recreational devices taken from educational facilities. Low-level agility and climbing practice equipment, I think.
Again, makes sense. Younglings of any species tend to be more vulnerable, especially when surrounded by nervous and angry adults.
Thing is, the humans didn't believe us. For some reason, whenever lung breathers like you and the humans see us, they assume we want to eat them. So the cry went up that we were taking the children and women away to be eaten. No matter how many times the commander told them that wasn't happening, they didn't believe it. My glorious former leader thought it would blow over once he could reintegrate some of the caregivers and return the children to their families on Earth.
Azek saw Jek's tail creeping forward as well, and quickly slapped it back. If he was curious, he was damned if he'd let his junior engineer blow his cover with some incautious gesture.
So you know how I said the humans had their narcotics equipment? Well, some of them had small flasks of sterile liquid they consume for enjoyment, and it's flammable. They smashed all the applicators, tore up some of their clothing, and made a large flammable blanket, hiding it by having a bunch of them stand near the observing lens complaining. The next guard to enter to deliver food and water had it dropped on him and set on fire. I received the audio log. It's not nice listening.
Azek winced. In the rich atmosphere of a Harchan mothership, fire, especially somewhat smokeless fire, would burn hot, and for a long time. But the fire suppression systems.
Unlock doors at affected areas to allow rescue teams and evacuation. And the humans were in a retrofitted hangar bay thrown together in less than half a ril. So the doors unlocked, and we had 500 angry humans with a single coil gun rampaging through the ship, while most of the ship's security forces were occupying the human cities and towns. They managed to get to the bridge by threatening an engineer, and I assume accidentally killing the commander trying to get him to land the ship. He started doing it, and when they yelled at him, he snapped back.
Garrosh suddenly sat up, his mouth open, a horrible hissing scream emerging. Azek's headset managed to convert it into,
Shut up, stupid apes! I'm trying to not kill all of us as you shot my pilot!
Still, Azek and Jek flinched back, and Jek's tail once again wrapped around Azek's.
See?
The bug said, settling back into his throne.
So the ship crashed into the middle of a large desert. No forces anywhere to contest it, and the damn humans have nomads who live there. So suddenly, every city on the edge of the large inland sea has coil guns popping up in human hands. And even some thermal lance emplacements. So, my only surviving superior orders me to maintain orbit, monitor space, and strip my ship of spare parts to keep his ship, down at the South Pole, up in the air, as he also takes most of my spare crew and garrison to try to secure at least a foothold. No idea how he's doing, but I'm guessing not great given how many injured have come here to recover. The only damn part of my ship he's left untouched is the med bay. Either way, that's what's happened here, and why I pinged you immediately.
Azek nodded and stood. So, are we prisoners, or do you actually want something?
I knew a Zilpik would come to handle eventually. Yes, I want something. I want you to go.
Azek couldn't stop himself, and flicked his frill up in surprise. Garrosh hissed again, softer though, and gestured for Azek to sit.
If I or my superiors send off for help, we're doomed. I'll never get off a core planet again, probably dumped in some hypno-doctrination center to program cautionary scenarios. Also, if you go out and say that you entered, found what was happening, and then left, I'll have been incompetent. So, I invited you.
Azek tilted his head. His curiosity piqued.
You were passing nearby, and picked up a long-range message I sent out. I was asking for a broker to negotiate mercenaries. You arrived, heard my pitch, and declared you'd have no part in burning every bridge you have with every mercenary company under quorum listing by having them come to this calamity. I called you a cowardly Zilpik more concerned with money than honor, and we left eternal foes. You go back to your trade council and make this story number 1. I get a stamp as a bull-headed optimist who at least tried to fix the situation, and we pull out.
Azek flicked his tongue. I'll have to consult with my crew, make sure they are on board with the story, and drop contracts and the like, make it look legitimate. But I don't see why not. Truthfully, Azek was delighted. He got to deliver key strategic information to the Trade Council. He and his crew weren't going to be impounded by the Harchan, and he might even get a junior council seat out of this. All it would take is some careful diplomacy. At the South Pole, a Harchan engineer winced as another squeal of beeps came over his listening equipment. He noted its point of origin, the foot of the large mountains in the middle of the main landmass, and removed his listening pads after activating the auto-archive. He had enough of a headache anyway. Vigilant. Op found. Need 20 brick commissions. 2 sarges on board. Mountain men very happy. Mountain Lion.